Live from Waterford and Dungarvan, this is Waterford at 1 News.
Good afternoon, I'm Karen Tomkins. Today's top stories. Counselling services are in place at schools and creches in Dublin after the deaths of 3 children at their home on Friday evening. A Chinese student who travelled from Wuhan to Waterford is in self-isolation as a precautionary measure against the coronavirus. A Waterford Labour general election candidate says he'd be worried about working with Sinn Féin nationally as they couldn't work together locally. And in sport, Waterford hurlers get off to a winning start in the Allianz League following yesterday's win over Cork. Counselling services are in place at schools and creches in the Newcastle and Rathcoole areas of Dublin after the deaths of 3 children at their home on Friday evening. Gardaí are waiting to interview a woman in her 40s who was in a stable condition in Tala Hospital following the discovery of the bodies of siblings Conor, Dara and Carla McGinley. Shane Beattie reports from Newcastle.
Floral tributes continue to be left outside the home in Parsons Court where the bodies of 9-year-old Conor, 7-year-old Dara and 3-year-old Carla McGinley were discovered on Friday. The Garda investigation into what happened is ongoing. Officers are waiting to interview a woman in her 40s found at the scene who's in a stable condition in Tala Hospital. A book of condolence has been opened at St Finian's Church in Newcastle. Father John Gilligan says families wanted to come together.
And we're amazed to see all the mums and dads and young children there on a Saturday morning where there would be normally no service. And just the expression of shock on their faces, dads with tears in their eyes.
Happy Feet Creche, where Carla had been attending since she was 8 months old, says she was a beautiful, happy little girl who was very loved by her family. Children, staff and parents are receiving support from Gardaí and psychologists. Counselling supports are also in place at Scoil Cronon in Rathcoole, where Dara and Conor were pupils. Suzanne Connolly, CEO of Bernardos, says it's important parents are honest with their children.
It's really important that parents don't speculate with children because we don't know why this happened or how it happened. So what parents need to do is reassure their children that most children in Ireland are very, very safe in their own homes.
The Children's Charity says parents or teachers can contact its helpline on 01 473 2110. Shane Beattie, Newcastle.
A Chinese student who travelled from Wuhan to Waterford is in isolation today as a precautionary measure in response to the coronavirus. Waterford Institute of Technology have confirmed that the student is not ill, not showing any symptoms of the coronavirus, which has killed 80 people worldwide, but as a precaution is staying in isolation in his accommodation in Waterford City. The student arrived in Waterford yesterday but left Wuhan some days ago before the city was put in lockdown. In a statement, WIT say they have been in touch with the HSE and are being directed by them at this time. The head of the Catholic Church in Ireland has praised Seamus Mallon for his significant contribution to bringing peace to the north. The funeral of Stormont's former Deputy First Minister has taken place in Armagh after he died on Friday. Senior politicians were among those who attended, including the Taoiseach Leo Varadkar and Taoiseach Simon Coveney. In his eulogy, Archbishop Eamon Martin noted his major role in the Good Friday Agreement in 1998 and his consistent opposition to violence.
Seamus Mallon, we all know, was unequivocally anti-violence. He saw the ongoing bloodshed of the past as a waste of life, a waste of spirit, and he empathised from his heart with all those who were suffering. And his condemnation of violence from whatever source was consistent.
Labour general election candidate John Pratt says he would be worried about working with Sinn Féin nationally as they couldn't work together locally. Waterford Sinn Féin councillors voted against the proposed budget last December despite being part of the controlling group on the local authority. Speaking to Damien Tiernan on Data Today, the Mayor of Waterford City and County Council says he wouldn't rule out a coalition with the party but has concerns.
We tried working with Sinn Féin in the local area. You know, I mean, we put out there actually to everybody. Maybe people would deny that, but we actually put out to say, look, let's work together. Let's change the Fianna Gael, Fianna Fáil overarching and everything, and let's try and work together. But when it came to the budget, unfortunately, we couldn't pass the budget, and that was a pity, really, because we really had hoped that we could work together and move forward at a local level. And if they couldn't do it locally, look, I'd just be worried that might happen nationally.
And he said Sinn Féin put them in a difficult position.
I'm the mayor at the moment. I was in the position, where we felt we were being very fair. We came forward with ways of dealing with the budget and the deficits that we had. And Sinn Féin didn't come forward with any suggestions. And that was kind of, difficult for us that we had to, because that was one of the things we spoke about when we set up at that stage. We spoke about that and how we could work together. And budgets was obviously one of the main things you have to pass, and the local property tax before that.
Meanwhile, Fine Gael has been accused of operating a Trump-style Project Fear. As we pass the halfway point in the general election campaign, all parties have been on the campaign trail ahead of the second TV debate, which will be held tonight. Health appears to be one of the main issues that people on the doorstep in Waterford are concerned with. These voters tell us what's most important to them.
The issues that would concern me would be the lack of resources for Waterford Regional Hospital, a university hospital. The university status for WIT would be another big one. And in general, I think this overriding consensus that we need to forget about the South East, that there's not enough being done for us down here.
The gaps between the people living in very disadvantaged areas and people in affluent areas. Health inequalities, access to services, that Waterford is a healthy city.
A woman was discovered in labour on a Dublin street in the early hours of this morning. Gardaí and emergency services attended to the scene at Inskey just before 1:30am. Laura Donnelly reports.
Dublin Fire Brigade received the call at 1:26am. It's understood passers-by heard a woman screaming and came to her aid. Dublin Fire Brigade says the patient was removed from there to hospital after the successful delivery of the baby. Both the woman and the baby are said to be doing well. The street was closed off for several hours while Gardaí examined the scene. The HSE, the Gardaí and Dublin Fire Brigade say they won't be releasing any further information due to the sensitive nature of the incident and to preserve the privacy of the individual.
University Hospital Waterford has the 6th largest waiting list for public eye care in the country. Figures from the National Treatment Purchase Fund website show that 3,027 people were on a waiting list for outpatient eye care here last year. Nationally, there were over 41,000 people waiting for an appointment. That's an increase of over 1,000 on 2018. Optometric advisor Linda McGivney Nolan says the demand for eye care has grown significantly in Waterford.
It's a very densely populated area, and like other areas in Ireland, it's urban and it's growing and the population is growing and the demands are growing, and the result of this now is that Waterford has in fact the 6th largest waiting list to access care in the country.
And finally, Waterford Council is to introduce a code of conduct for social media. Under the code, local councillors are to no longer post personalised criticisms about other politicians. If a member of the public makes an abusive comment on a councillor's social media page, that councillor must then delete the comment. Fine Gael's Damien Gagan proposed the measure.
While being mindful of the right to freedom of expression, the Social Media Code of Conduct will commit signatories to not engaging in personalised or abusive posts or comments about any named individual or any individual who, although unnamed, would be readily identifiable to many people. I think there's an onus on us as public representatives to ensure that we do it in a very respectful manner and a respectful fashion. We all know that social media at times, it can be quite a toxic place, I have to say, at times, but I do think that us as public representatives should be leading the way on that.
WLR Sport.
And a very good afternoon, I'm Gavin. Whelan starting with Gaelic Games, and the Bennett brothers shot 16 points between them as Waterford made a winning start to their Allianz Hurling League campaign with an exciting win over Cork in Welch Park yesterday. Waterford got off to a disastrous start with Conor Lehan and Shane Kingston netting early goals. However, the home side recovered well, grew into the game and ended victors by 124 to 317 at the full-time whistle. Stephen Bennett was awarded the Man of the Match award. He said it was great to get off to a winning start in front of the home fans, but says it's still early days.
Do you know, look, it's only a small step. It's nice to win the games, but disappointing, I suppose. 3 minutes into the game, you're 6 points down, and then, do you know, when you get back up to a point and then you go up to 5 points and you're even back to nearly level the game. Do you know, we need to work on that. We know we have a lot to work on, to be honest, but at times we showed a lot of things. Look, I suppose we worked hard, which is always nice to see. Do you know, all these things will happen if you're actually working for it. So, look, it was nice to win, but look, we got to the league final last year and you see how the championship went, so I don't know how much you'd read into it either.
Waterford head to Mullingar to face Westmeath in round 2 next weekend. Galtier booked their place in the All-Ireland Camogie final, All-Ireland Intermediate Camogie final by virtue of yesterday's 213 to 11 points win over Clonduff of Down. They'll face St Rynagh's in the All-Ireland final. Meanwhile, the Waterford ladies footballers are after a great start to Division 1 of the National League. The Murray triplets there contributing 4 goals in their 5-4 to 115 win away to Galway yesterday. Roisin Tobin also netting in that one. We'll get further reflections to both victories from Galtier and the Waterford ladies footballers on our On The Ball show this evening. Waterford Wildcats were crowned the Under-20 National Cup champions yesterday with a thrilling victory over UU Tigers at the National Basketball Arena. Tommy O'Mahony's Chargers prevailing in that one by 85 points to 75 after a thrilling victory. We'll also be hearing from him on our On The Ball show this evening. To news of soccer, Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp says he'll leave it to Neil Critchley to take charge of their FA Cup 4th round replay with Shrewsbury. They'll need to face the League One side at Anfield during the Premier League's winter break after letting a 2-0 lead slip to draw 2-2 last night. Under 23 boss Critchley led a young Liverpool side in last month's League Cup defeat of Aston Villa due to fixture congestion. Klopp says he'll have to do the same again.
I know that's not very popular, but that's the way I see it. And how I said, the Premier League asks us to respect the winter break. That's what we do. If then the FA doesn't respect it, we cannot change that. But we will not be there.
The 5th round draw takes place this evening shortly before Bournemouth host Arsenal in the last of the round 4 games. Bournemouth come into the game on the back of a vital 3-1 win against Brighton, which ended a 6-game winless run in the league. Waterford FC played out a draw with Shamrock Rovers in yesterday's pre-season friendly at the RSC. The game commemorated the late Shamey, the Major Code. Blues boss Alan Reynolds told Matt Keane it was a good workout.
Yeah, look, I was pleased with the defensive side of it, which we kind of knew it would be. Only getting fellas together, Matt and so on. And we're training, I suppose it's 3 weeks today, and I think they are back since the start of December. So I think we got a lot out of it today. It was important for fellas getting 90 minutes and something to build on.
That's the latest on WLR.